Tired of feeling tired? Done with diet culture? Overwhelmed by conflicting nutrition and fitness messages? Then join us, your hosts of the Nutrition Revolution podcast, as we take a deep dive into all things women's fitness and nutrition. I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Tabitha. And together we are debunking diet culture myths and giving you the tools you need to finally see the results you're looking for. Hello, welcome.
Hey, you guys. So this is our introduction to the Nutrition Revolution podcast. And we thought we would just start by sharing our own stories.
Yeah, so you can kind of get to know us and see how we are similar in a lot of ways and how we've gotten to where we are today.
Yeah, and what makes us so passionate about starting this podcast and providing this information for you guys. So I thought that, Tabitha, if you wanted to share first, what got you wanting to, one, work with women specifically, and two, why nutrition and fitness? What made you passionate about this? What in your life created this firestorm in you?
Yeah. So it's nothing like groundbreaking or earth shattering, but I think it's a story that so many women identify with because they've been there. I was an athlete growing up, and in high school, I played soccer and I swam, and it was always very easy for me to like stay in shape. I didn't have to ever think about food, just like ate whatever I wanted, Pop-Tarts on the way to school,
the life.
And then I could go to college and I'm not as active and I'm drinking more than I've ever drank and eating terrible and, all hours of the night and day and that whole like typical co-ed life.
Thirsty
and I did
Thursdays.
Yes, I gained weight and I just had like no energy and headaches a lot. And, it was just a like eye-opening, like, okay, wait, I'm headed down a path that I don't really want to be on. And so I started really the only place that I could at that time, and this is like the early 2000s, I started with diet culture and like Shape magazine and all those resources where it was like the hallmarks: exercise more, eat less, don't eat carbs. Right. So that's what I did. And like, it did work.
Yeah.
Like I lost weight. I got leaner than like I had ever been before. I started like running and I definitely had more energy and like things were good until they weren't. And then it was like, I was getting headaches. I was had become like obsessive about food and like very controlling and like always thinking that I had to like earn my food. Right. So if I was going to like go out and have dinner and dessert, like I had to punish myself with like a 5-mile run or something. Right. And I didn't realize at the time, when you're like 22, 23 years old, that like, that's not healthy and that
burning through
adrenals. Yeah. Long-term is not going to set you up for success. So then like, that was kind of my pattern, right? Carbs are bad. You have to exercise all the time. You have to earn your food. You got to do cardio. And then I got married, became a mom, and same thing, like, got to lose that baby weight, like, as soon as possible. You've got to look like you didn't have a baby. And it was when my son was an infant. My husband and I, we'd like taken the kids out to like run errands one day, and I was like in the middle of some stupid like low carb, whatever, diet. And he's like, let's just grab Taco Bell. And I like literally like broke down in tears, like blame that on postpartum hormones, but like broke down in tears. And I'm like, I can't eat Taco Bell. And he's like, babe, like there's gotta be a better way. Like, yes, you can, and he was very supportive. And it was a really pivotal point for me where I was like sick of fighting against food. Like I was sick and tired of like it being the enemy and being something that like you had to earn. And I just knew like in my gut, like in my soul, like there has to be a better way. Like this doesn't make sense. And I'm very much like knowledge is power. And so I was like determined to find out like what the heck is the real deal with carbohydrates from like a metabolism standpoint? Like what is their role in the body? Like how can they be that bad if they're in like all these different foods, right? That are like a staple in the human diet and like protein and fats and all this stuff. And so I just started like informally educating myself. And then like I started looking out programs for going back to school for nutrition. Because I was like, I have always really been into fitness. I had been like a trainer and a group fitness instructor for years at that point. And long story short, I ended up finding this program through Logan University, Nutrition and Human Performance. And at this point, I had gotten a pretty good handle on like, okay, carbohydrates are fuel for exercise and all of that. But going to school, learning the deep science of nutrition was transformative.
Yeah.
Like completely changed my view. At that time too, I think it's important to note that like I'd gotten really into the intuitive eating and like trying to work on my mindset around food, that like food's not the enemy, and just improving that.
So you did the hard work.
Yes, exactly. That general like relationship. And like I learned about like fiber and gut health and all of those things. And I guess my graduate studies really brought together the information that I had been informally gathering and learning on my own, and just solidified it and hit it home that like nutrition is your greatest ally in health. It is not the enemy. Carbs are not the reason that you're gaining weight or can't lose weight, and that it's not one single food item that is the problem, right? It's the combination of all of the foods that you eat that make up your dietary pattern that can or might not be the problem, like, you know, whatever. And so I just, once I learned all this information, I literally felt like everybody needs to know this. Like, why is this not taught?
It's now become a moral obligation for you to share.
Exactly. I feel like called to like teach women that food's not the enemy, and that diet culture is based on male data and research, and it doesn't serve us. And so that is a like 15-year span condensed down to just a couple minutes of like why I'm passionate about all things nutrition and fitness, and why I just want to help every woman that I can break up with diet culture, learn to fuel her body to feel amazing, because that is actually how you should feel. Right? Feeling tired all the time, feeling run down, feeling like food is the enemy and you have to earn it. Like that is not the way that I believe God has intended us to live and to thrive. So and I feel like that's my story. I know it's not very exciting or like romantic,
and I think that it is. I mean, it is though. So I think it's so important, because I think there are so many people who are going to relate to that.
I hope so.
Especially being an athlete and then becoming a mom and then not doing any of the sports anymore, and seeing how your body changes. You know, what was the change? Was it all of the working out, or was it the nutrition? You know, did we change our nutrition when we quit working out, or do we try to keep the same thing? So there's so many unanswered questions. And so I think it'll be really good when people get to know you more, hear more of your story, and then hear how you, through food and nutrition and working out and working on the mindset piece, have changed even what you believed. And I feel like it's constantly changing. You know, as you learn more and understand more,
absolutely,
you're changing and trying different things to work for your body. And so I think that's great. I think it's good.
It's about progress. Yeah. You know,
I, similar to you, like I, there are some things that are similar to you. Mine is way more the emotional side of it. So I grew up with, there's 5 girls in my family.
Oh, wow.
And
that's a lot of estrogen.
It is a lot. My poor father. Right. So there are, for me, I was the middle child too, so it didn't help. But I was always the heavy one. Okay. I was always the one that was bigger than my sisters. And in that like adolescent years, when you're getting ready to start your cycle and you're getting ready to, you know, you're realizing that your body is different than the people around you. I realized that I was bigger than all of my sisters. And so they're in size 2s and 4s, and I'm in like double digit 10s. And hit me like, there's something different about me, and I didn't understand what. So I started eating the same things that my sister ate and trying to like model how they ate. And then my body still wasn't changing. So I'm like, why? Like I'm eating less than them, and I'm moving more than them, and I'm doing all of these things, and my body is still like getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so it started diet culture very early. Yeah. And it was, you know, my mom was very into like different diets. So Slim Fast was always available in our house.
Gosh, yeah.
Right?
Or MetaFast too. Yeah.
Oh
my
gosh, yes.
The MetaFast. Yeah. All the things.
Yeah. So it was cabbage soup diets, or only eat bacon and eggs for all the meals. You name it. We tried it. Hollywood 24-hour fix was the one that I made my now husband do in college so that I could lose weight before our wedding. Like 48 hours of just drink this drink. And
oh gosh.
We're lucky we're married. But so it just began very early for me of comparison. Yeah. And comparing my body, my size, how I looked. And then my mom was always very tiny. So I'm like, how is she so tiny? And she had 5 children, and I look like I do, and I haven't had any children yet. Like I couldn't imagine. So it was years and years of yo-yo dieting, disordered eating, and in college it got worse where I was eating like a Slim Fast and an apple, and that's it. And and I lost weight. It worked.
Right, but you were miserable.
I was miserable.
And it's not sustainable.
No. And then from there, I developed so many health issues. We got married. My husband was having health issues also. And the doctors were like, oh, it's just stress. Oh, you guys are young, getting married, moving. It's just stress.
But not a single one of them ever actually asked you what your nutritional habits were like, or
no one
your
asked.
Usual intake, like to even see like maybe you were like anemic.
Nothing.
Or, which is the crazy thing is that.
Which I was.
Yeah.
Right? I was severely anemic. My nutrients were so awful.
Yeah.
Like everything was terrible.
Slim Fast and an apple is not going to get it
done.
Right?
Who knew? So from there, we just, we lived unhealthy for a long time after that. And it was kind of one of those, we're getting older. This is just what your body does. We started careers, newly married, moved to a new city, away from everyone. And we would go to work, and he worked for government contracting. And so his hours were insane. And so we just were tired, but we thought, this is normal.
This is life. This is adulting.
And everyone tells you like it's normal. The older you get, the more you ache, the more tired you are, and weird things are going to happen to your body. But it's just
there's
normal.
nothing you can do either, right? Like, I hate that.
So we enjoyed our
Also for our listeners, not true.
Yeah, it's so not true. So we enjoyed our little putting on weight, exploring the city, eating all of the things in the city, and then one day I was experiencing some really bad health things and had to go to the doctors to figure out what was wrong. And they were like, again, it's just stress. I was 22 and I had to have a colonoscopy.
Oh gosh.
That's like for old people,
Yeah,
right? Like in your brain,
right,
you shouldn't be a healthy 22-year-old and have to have a colonoscopy. I was having heart palpitations, which is now linked to my birth control that I was on. So that I was falling apart.
Yeah.
We were falling apart.
I'm so sorry. That's really scary.
Yeah. And so we just one day were like, we need to figure something out. And so friends of ours had just joined a CrossFit gym and started the paleo diet.
Okay, yeah.
And my husband had just broken his arm training for a triathlon. So he was laid up, couldn't do anything. And he was like, we need to change our diet because I'm gaining weight just sitting here, not moving my body. So I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm sick of diets. I'm so over trying to be skinny. Mm-hmm. I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. I am what I am. And I finally had accepted it. And then we started the diet 3 days before Thanksgiving.
The paleo diet.
Okay. And
3 days before Thanksgiving. Way to ruin your
I know, right? We came home with our little cooler full of grass-fed whatever and nuts and seeds and berries, and that was it.
Twigs and grass clippings.
Exactly. And my husband lost 30 pounds in 3 months, and I lost a little bit of weight, but my body changed. I was able to get off of all medications that I was on.
Wow.
I noticed things changing, like depression and anxiety were almost totally gone.
Yeah.
All of the reasons I had to have a colonoscopy, totally gone. And all of his health issues were gone.
Wow. Food is medicine.
Yeah.
That's a podcast for another time.
Yeah. And so it was that eye opener that I was like, oh my gosh, it's not carbs. It's not fats. It's the food that we're eating and how we're eating it and where we're sourcing it. And yeah. And it just blew my mind that all of those things could change. And
just by improving the quality of your diet and eating whole foods.
Yeah. And it was that shift for me that I realized, you know what? It's not about skinny and getting abs and getting muscles and looking a certain way. I don't ever want to feel that unhealthy again.
Yeah.
And I just, and now I sit here and I'm healthier now than I've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
My body feels great. I don't wake up with aches and pains. I don't wake up feeling exhausted. I'm enjoying this stage of life. And so that shifted for me. And then having kids, my daughter, having a daughter, I'm like, I don't want her to ever feel like diet culture.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is her life. You should not spend your entire life trying to fit into a certain size.
That a magazine has said.
Right. That some man.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh.
Right? Some man or some actor or
Victoria's
whatever.
Secret.
Right.
She was made up by a dude. Isn't that song?
Yeah. Right. So that all shifted for me. And I was like, you know what? This is something that I'm passionate about. And so I started blogging recipes that were paleo, clean eating recipes, and got some clients who wanted to get healthy. And I was like, I am all about helping some women get healthy.
Yes.
And so that became my priority. So I dove into the nutrition field and the fitness field and got certified in everything I could devour. And then here I am. And this has been awesome. Like it's life-changing. I think when you say like, you feel like God called you into something, this giving back and helping other women feel healthy, confident, strong, and empowered, and watching their lives change in your own gym or with, something that you've spoken into them has been like drastically life-changing. So yeah.
And rewarding. Yeah, I agree. And I think that's the point of this podcast too, is to bring this information and make it accessible to every woman everywhere, because we need to know these things.
Right. Yeah. And I think too, not everyone can afford to hire a coach.
Yeah.
But I think every woman can take 20 minutes to listen to something that's easy. It's not going to be a bunch of nutrition jargon that you don't understand.
It's
going to be something
deep science that you need a degree in to decipher. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be little, small, manageable things that you can listen to it, apply it, try it for a week, try it for 2 weeks, and see how it works for your body, and then come try something different. So I think it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited. Well, thanks for sharing your story. It's pretty awesome. And we are very much looking forward to getting to know our listeners better and helping all of them get to a better place with their nutrition and their training.
Yeah. So like we say, it's time to revolutionize your nutrition, and we're here to help you.
Bye. Thanks for spending your time with us. If you found this podcast helpful, we would love for you to share it with your friends and family. And don't forget to subscribe on your podcast platform. If you have nutrition or fitness questions you want answered on future episodes, we would love to hear from you. You can submit these questions to our email, thenutritionrevolutionpodcast@gmail.com, and follow us on Instagram @thenutritionrevolutionpodcast.